Welcome to the Wargaming Garage and this 500 point combat patrol mission between Death Guard and Space Marines. So here's 500 points of Death Guard. Leading the way today is a Lord of Contagion. He's equipped with a Man Reaper and he has the Warlord trait Arch Contaminator. He also has a relic, the Suppurating Plate. We've upgraded him with Deadly Pathogen, Unstable Sickness, so hopefully we'll be able to dish out some decent mortal wounds in combat. Backing him up today is a Malignant Plague Caster. He's running 2 psychic powers today, one of which is Miasma of Pestilence and the other is a Curse of the Leper. Again, once we get into contagion range, the idea is to boost the ability to roll over the unit's toughness, dealing out mortal wounds. We also have a unit of 14 Poxwalkers, mainly for controlling objectives and using the secondary Spread the Sickness to just gain points during the rounds. We also have a unit of 7 Plague Marines, one of which has a flail, the other has an Icon of Despair. Otherwise all with bolt guns and knives, aside from the Champion who has a Plasma Pistol and a Power Fist. The Champion also has the upgrade, the Plague Skull of Glothilla, so again, once per battle we can hopefully dish out some mortal wounds. Here's 500 points worth of Space Marines, today being led by a Captain in Terminator armour. He has a Warlord trait, Anvil of Strength, and also has a relic, the Burning Blade, so again boosting him for some combat. Backing him up are 2 lieutenants, one with a Combi Grav and Power Sword, and the other with a Combi Flamer and Power Fist. There's troops, 2 squads of 5 Marines. The first squad has got a missile launcher for its heavy weapon, the rest is all bolt guns, and the other squad has a little bit more to it. It has a las cannon for its heavy weapon, and the sergeant's running a plasma pistol and a thunder hammer. So today's mission is from the new Plague Purge book. It's a combat patrol mission, Survivors of the Fallout. So it's a sweep and clear, so once you hold that objective marker you continue to hold that objective marker even if you have no models within range of it. But in addition, in the centre of the board there's a fallout area, and so that 9-inch fallout area, any unit that's within that fallout zone and is the target of a ranged attack, you can add 1 to that attack's wound roll. Secondaries for the Death Guard are Assassinate and Engage on all fronts, but also Spread the Sickness. So again, if I have the Poxwalkers on an objective, then they'll be able to do this action and just get additional points during the battle round. For the Space Marines, the secondaries are also Assassinate and Engage on all fronts, but their third is Oaths of Moment, where they do what Space Marines are supposed to do and don't fall back and don't fail morale. So hopefully, again, netting a few extra points per turn. Just in terms of the table today, there's a mixture of line of sight obscuring terrain on either corner, and then a mixture of light cover, obstacles, and scalable cover as well. The blown up container in the centre of the board obviously represents the fallout zone area, but also we're going to class it as a crater, so it minuses 2 to your movement for difficult ground. So today I'm using these dice for the Death Guard, using these dice for the Space Marines. So what we'll do, we'll just roll off for deployment. the Space Marines take it. So the Space Marines will have this end. Okay. Okay, so here we are after deployment. The Space Marines have deployed behind the ruins in an effort to try and move over to this objective in no man's land outside their deployment zone. They've also deployed relatively aggressively at the front edge of their deployment zone, so again they can work their way around to the other objective marker. The Death Guard have also deployed their Poxwalkers pretty aggressively again in an effort to head toward the objective marker in the first turn and try and spread the sickness. Everybody else is castled up behind the obscuring terrain in an effort to make some first turn moves over towards objectives outside their deployment zone, but also within their deployment zone. So let's roll off and see who goes first. So again, Death Guard, Space Marines, let's see who wins. So it's Death Guard with turn 1. So here we are after the Death Guard's movement phase. So in an attempt to bring the Poxwalkers up to this objective, we did an advance. Didn't succeed, so it just fell short, so they got tucked back into cover and will go for the objective in the second turn. We moved the Lord of Contagion round and the Malignant Plaguecaster just within range of the objective, and then over on this on the other flank we advanced the Plague Marines up, because nothing's going to be within line of sight. There's obscuring, there's line of sight terrain that we just can't see different models around there. So we advance them, and again looking to make headway into this this no man's land quarter in turn 2. So all we're going to do is cast Miasma of Pestilence onto the Poxwalkers and to make them -1 to hit, to see if we can give them a little bit of survivability. So here we are at the dice tray. Needs a 6 to go off, and we get just what we need. So those Poxwalkers are now -1 to hit. And so with no models in range, no other models for psychic powers to go off with, that marks the end of the Death Guard turn. There'll be no charges because nothing's in range, everything advanced. We won't get any victory points at the moment because we're not on engage on all fronts just yet. We haven't been able to get into range of the objective at the top of the board there to get spread the sickness. But interestingly, with this particular mission, at the end of each battle round, each player scores 4 victory points for each objective marker they control, for a maximum of 18. So we'll have to wait until the end of the Space Marines turn and see what objectives are held where. So after the Space Marines movement phase, there's some slight shuffling around to line up for turn 2 movement, but basically the Lieutenant and this squad of Tactical Marines has just moved forward, keeping themselves within light cover and obstacles, ready to move around onto that objective around here. The Lieutenant and the Captain have stayed with this group of this unit of Tactical Marines, again looking to hold the objective at the end of this turn, move towards the objective in no man's land, we'll essentially start taking pot shots at the Poxwalkers. So here we are in the Space Marine shooting phase. So what the plan is to put all the bolt rounds into the Poxwalkers, with the last cannon going for the Lord of Contagion, and then over here we'll put every bolt weapon we can into the Poxwalkers again, and the missile launcher heading into the Lord of Contagion. we're going to spend a CP for steady advance on this tactical unit here, so it negates the penalty for the las cannon. Let's go on to roll some dice. So we'll start with the las cannon. So it's 3s to hit, which hits, and 3s to wound, which wounds. That'll be on to the Lord's invulnerable save, so 4 up invuln, which he fails. We've got 2 CP. What's left? Okay, we'll go for that. We'll go for a CP, which doesn't pay off. So D6 damage for 1. So bolt of fire rang out across this unit, the lieutenant, the captain, the lieutenant, and 2 of the tactical marines from here. It's causing a total of 4 wounds to the poxwalkers. So now onto the missile, do a crack missile over into the Lord of Contagion. So because of movement, hitting on 4s, which we miss. Okay, so again with no charges to declare because everything's out of range and there's nothing else to fire, so that marks the end of the Space Marines' turn. Again, we won't have got engage on all fronts and we won't have got assassinate, but we should have a point from Oaths of Moment for not falling back or losing morale. So let's mark up the end of the battle round. That should be 4 points for being on this objective, and for the Death Guard there should be 4 points for being on this objective. So I'll mark them up and be on to battle round 2. So here we are at the end of the Death Guard movement phase. These Plague Marines have moved into the area terrain for some light cover, able to take now some pot shots at these tactical Marines in front of them, albeit not many. The Plaguecasters move round to keep securing that objective, heading his way towards the centre of the table along with the Lord of Contagion, and the Poxwalkers have moved around and they're going to do an action of spread the sickness on to that objective. So what we're going to do is, again, there's nothing much in range in terms of psychic powers apart from Miasma of Pestilence, which we'll put onto the Poxwalkers, just trying to give them that little bit more survivability. Or not, as the case may be. I do have 2 CP, but I want to save that for some other stuff during this round, so it doesn't go off. So moving around to this Death Guard unit, there's a couple of them that can see in terms of bolters, and the Blight Launcher can see. So we'll fire into that unit of tactical marines in front of them. So we'll start off with the Blight Launcher. And both hit. And 1 wound, which fails. So D3 damage for 2, so that's 1 Space Marine down. On to the other 2 bolters that can see, and they both miss. So with that shooting phase, that marks the end of the Death Guard turn. So what we'll do is we will roll D3 mortal wounds for the Poxwalkers to see how many they do, just to get that spread the sickness. So 1d3 for 3, so 3 shrugs, and we don't get any, so that's 3 more Poxwalkers go, but that assures us some points at the end of this turn. So here we are at the end of the Space Marines movement phase. This tactical unit with the lieutenant has moved up towards to try and capture this objective, which it should be able to do at the end of this battle round. And then round on this flank, again this tactical unit is moving up to try and secure this objective. They won't have objectives secured, so they'll have to clear these poxwalkers from the unit, from the objective, with the lieutenant and the warlord starting to make, and the captain starting to make moves towards the centre of the board. So onto the Space Marines shooting phase. And so with the bolt fire ringing out once again toward the poxwalkers, four were lost in that unit, and so the last cannon from the tactical unit is going to go once again into the Lord of Contagion. So we didn't spend the CP, so we're hitting on 4s, which it hits, wounding on 3s, doesn't wound. And so with that, we're going to move on to the Terminator Captain and the left. So looking at it, the Captain and the Lieutenant, although they've got line of sight onto the Warlord, which is ultimately their goal, they're going to clear these poxwalkers down, because then we're going to get ourselves to a point where we can take this objective. The Lieutenant's within 3 of this objective, and suddenly we're taking a swing with that objective over here as well. We're controlling a lot of the board. So we'll move on and do the Terminator Captain into the poxwalkers. 2 shots hitting on 2s. So 4 shots hitting on 2s. Okay. One wound after all of that. It's failed. And the Lieutenant, who's also not in rapid, onto the Lieutenant. Rapid fire range, he's in rapid fire range. Wounds. Fails to save. So another 2 are lost, leaving 1 poxwalker on that objective. So it looks like we're going to have to charge and clear that down. So I'm moving on to this tactical unit around here. It'll be missiles and bolters into the unit that's inside this building here. So, but there'll be -1 to hit with it being cover. So after all the shots went into this Plague Marine squad, only a couple of wounds were done, but both were passed. So nothing doing on this side. They're not going to declare a charge, because that's a 12-inch charge into there. So they're going to remain on this objective, and that will call the end of the battle round. And then, so we'll mark it all up and see where the scores lie. So all the shots went out from this tactical unit, everything into this Plague Marine unit, doing a couple of wounds, but they were shrugged off with their armour saves, so nothing doing on this flank. So just move on to charges. With only 1 lonely poxwalker left, we'll have to declare a charge on this unit to clear it down and claim the objective at the end of the battle round. So 1 minute, we are going to spend a command point where we may as well do everything we can to try and keep that poxwalker alive. So we're going to spend a CP on Ferric Miasma, which subtracts 2 from any charge roll when it's declared against a unit from an inexorable plague company, which is what this company is. So we'll spend the command point, and that turns that into an 8-inch charge. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here we go, 8 inches to get him. See if we can claim that objective back. No. CP. Okay, and we're in. So after the Death Guard movement phase, we've brought the Lord of Contagion a bit more out into the open in an effort to try and get a charge off into the Lieutenant, possibly even the Captain. The Malignant Plaguecaster's brought himself into some psychic range now, and over on the right hand side flank these Plague Marines have emerged from the building and are going to charge down and again secure this objective and try and swing things back in their favour. So we're going to cast a smite onto the nearest unit, which will be this unit of Tactical Marines over here, and we'll also probably do Curse of the Leper too. So onto the Death Guard psychic. So the Plaguecaster is going to smite into the tactical unit. That goes off on an 8 for D3 mortal wounds. For 1. Okay. And then we're going to do Curse of the Leper, which is 7 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and anything above their toughness is actually going to be a mortal wound. Now, interestingly, the Lord of Contagion adds 3 inches to his contagion ability range, and with it being battles around 3, that's at 6 inches as it is, which would get him, but it's obviously extended now to 9 inches. So his contagion range actually takes in not only this unit but also the Lieutenant. So let's roll the dice, and anything 3 or above will be a mortal wound. Okay, looking pretty solid. Yeah, I just double check that it exceeds the toughness, so anything on a 4 up, sorry. So that's 1 dead Marine, another dead Marine, and the one was down to 1 wound with the smite, so that's 3 dead Marines from that squad. So now we move on to the shooting phase, and in order to make sure that we're lessening the charge, because I don't want to be taking pot shots at these guys, because I want to be able to make sure I can charge them, because at the moment it's obviously a fairly short charge. I'd be taking models from the front because to lengthen the charge. So we're actually going to start concentrating all our fire into the Lieutenant. So and possibly, if we can make it, we're going to go to the remaining units in the remaining models in that tactical squad. So let's see how. So in the end, decided to save the Lieutenant for melee. So all of the shots that could see and were in range, which was from these 3 at the front and this Blight Launcher, went into the tactical unit, and due to the light cover they've got, it just only clicked off 1 wound. So on to the charge phase. So we'll be charging this unit of Marines into this squad, and we'll be charging the Lord of Contagion into the Lieutenant. Let's see how we get on. So for these Plague Marines here, it's a 4-inch charge to this side of the pipe, so we'll see how we can get on. And for the Lord of Contagion, it's a 7-inch charge, or actually 7 inches, so a 6-inch charge into the Lieutenant. So let's see how we get on with the Plague Marines. Oh, I'm going to use a CP for that one most definitely, because I want to get in there and clear that squad. Okay, so 9 and they're in, and then for the Lord of Contagion, with an 11, he's most definitely in. Let's move him in and see what happens. So after the charge phase, the Terminator captain has heroically intervened, as has the lieutenant that was with the other tactical marine squad. So what we'll do is go on to the fight phase. Now what we're doing is spending all the CP we have remaining for the Plague Marine squad on Creeping Blight and Eternal Hatred. So any unmodified wound rolls of a 6 has an armor penetration of -4, and Eternal Hatred adds 1 to the attack's wound rolls. So hopefully with the flail in there and with the plague knives and this additional wound modification to the wound rolls, etc., we should hopefully be able to clear that squad down and start claiming that objective back. So let's see how we get on. So we'll start with the flail. So the flail gives him 2 attacks for each attack that he has. So that gives him 4 attacks on this charge, and he'll be hitting on 3s and he'll be wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. The strength it's -2, I believe, but actually with the attack with the additional on the wound roll, he'll be wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so only 2 hits so far. So wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s, and re-rolling 1s. Okay, so no 6s, so that's -2, 2 damage on each of those. So 1 goes through, kills a marine. And so so we also then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with 2 attacks. So that's 10 attacks coming in with plague knives. 3, that's 6, 8, 10. So again, this will be hitting on 3s. It'll be, because of the additional attack to the wound roll and the additional modification to the wound roll, it'll be wounding on 2s. 6s do -4 and re-rolling 1s. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so everything hits. That's 1 6 in there already. Re-rolling these 2 1s. Okay, so that's an additional 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 wounds at -1. 2, 6, 8. That's 1. Another 4 go through, so that's another 2 dead marines. That's 3 so far. And now we have the Plague Champion with his Power Fist. So that's 3 attacks. Hitting on 4s because it's unwieldy. Okay, so 1 goes through. Wounding on 2s. It's a wound. So with that fail, I will try CP, keep the unit. No, that's the unit wiped, and we'll move on to the Lord of Control. Okay, so the Man Reaper has 2 profiles we can use. We can use Cleave or we can use Scythe. The advantage of using Cleave is the additional strength and the damage output, but you do have to subtract 1 from the hit roll. The Scythe gives you double the amount of attacks, but is only 1 damage each. So what I'm going to do on this one is, because I want that lieutenant dead, I think I'm going to go for the Cleave option. So okay, so that's going to be 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, re-rolling 1s. No, -3 is the saving on that one, so let's give it a go. So hit on 2s, so all bar 1, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s. Okay, so they all wound, so that's going to be 4 6-up saves. Each failed save is 2 damage, and that's the lieutenant gone. Okay, so fighting back with the lieutenant. Here we get 4 attacks because of the shock assault, and he's got a power sword there, so it'll be strength 5 versus toughness 5, so wounding on 4s. So let's see how we get on. So hitting on 2s, everything hits. Wounding on 4s, so 2 wounds. Okay, so pass 1, fail 1. That's 1 wound. So the captain in Terminator armour, he has the Anvil of Strength and the Burning Blade. So the Anvil of Strength pluses 2 to his strength, the Burning Blade pluses a further 3, so that makes him strength 9. So he'll have 5 attacks on the charge, heroically intervening, sorry. He'll be hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, and each failed wound, although the Lord of Contagion has a 4-up invuln, every failed wound is 2 damage. So, but bear in mind he does have the suppurating plate, so there's every chance it'll do mortal wound back to the Terminator captain. So let's see how we get on. So hitting on 2s. Oh, we have a CP, we have 2 CP left, so let's do another one. Okay, so 3 hits, wounding on 3s, that's 2 wounds, so onto our 4-up invuln. Okay, so we pass 1, we fail 1. So that's 2 damage done, reduced down to 1 damage, so that's taking a wound on that, and we get to roll now for the suppurating plate. So the suppurating plate, it has changed slightly in this edition, so basically if that unit loses a wound, then which obviously lost 2, so it gets to roll a dice, and on a 2-up it does a mortal wound back, which it does. So I'll mark that up on the captain, and that should mark the end of the death code. Just to finish off the turn, there's a morale to do here. They lost 3, so we'll roll the morale. So 4 plus 3 is 7. They hold and they're fine. So we're now into more of a summary turn for the Space Marines. Basically the tactical unit has moved off the objective, obviously, because it's sweep and clear on movement, making its way towards the Plague Caster. Its intention is to charge and then see if we can head up towards that last objective. We've remained in combat here with the Lord of Contagion, and remained in combat here with the squad of Plague Marines. So with no psychic phase, we'll head on to the shooting. So we fired the pistol into combat here and did absolutely no damage whatsoever. We also fired the bolt gun at the Plague Caster, doing no damage, but we fired with the plasma pistol and managed to do a wound. So it's going to be a save, which he makes. So with that, we go on to the charge phase, which will be that unit into the Plague Caster, and then from that onto the fight phase. So let's see how we get on. It's a 2-inch charge, so it should be automatically in. We'll just do it for range. And with a 5, they get in, and we'll move them in and start the fight phase. Okay, so we'll go on to the standard marine. We have 2 attacks on the charge. Hits with them both. There'll be wounding on 5s. And that scores a wound, which goes through. That's 1 wound on the playcaster, 3 remaining. So it's up to the sergeant now, see if we can secure that objective. So it'll be hitting on 4s because it's unwieldy. I need to use a CP, else he's not going to die. So he'll have no chance of dying. So see if we can get this one. No. Okay, so it'll be wounding on 3s. Okay, doesn't wound. That's the end of that dream then. Right, okay, so let's go on to the fight phase for the, now it'll be the striking back. Okay, so we'll start with the Malignant Playcaster. He has a corrupted staff, which gives him +3 to his strength, so he'll be hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s, and it's D3 damage a time. So let's see how we get on. So here we go. So hitting on 3s, all bar 1. So wounding on 2s, re-rolling 1s. Okay, so 3 wounds go through, it's -1, and each one's D3 damage. So that will be 4 up saves within 3 inches of the cover. So that is back to 3 ups, and 2 go through. I only have 1 CP, and I want to keep that for the other combat. So D3 a time. So there's 1's already gone. So on to the sergeant, and he's gone 2. So the playcaster takes down that unit and secures that objective in the corner. Could be pretty clutch. So again, we'll go on to the flail. Its defenders fight first. It's the Space Marine's turn, so we'll go off with the 4 attacks in with the flail. 3 hit. We haven't got anything on there in terms of creep and blight or anything because it's now a new turn or phase. So it's wounding on 3s. That's 3 wounds. Let's see if the lieutenant can survive. Okay, so -2. So 5 up saves. Any one of these, it'll be 2 damage. So he's got some wounds to get through here. Let's hope he gets them all. So 4 go through. It'd be good to try and tie that unit up a little bit longer into turn 4. I don't think there's going to be much more past that, to be honest. So let's give it one more go. CP reroll. No. So that lieutenant's gone. That frees that unit up, and they can start to move down the that flank. And so here it's the last remaining Space Marine, the captain, standing defiant against the Lord of Contagion. But the Lord of Contagion defenders fight first. So we'll hit with the Man Reaper, and we'll use the cleave profile. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, and re-rolling 1s, so it's a plague weapon. So 1's missing there, wounding on 3s. Okay, so 3 onto our invulnerable save, so 3 on our 4 up. Each one's flat 2 damage. We've lost a wound already. Okay, so 2 more go through. And I get to fight back. So 4 attacks this time because there's no shock assault or heroic intervention. So hit on 2s. Okay. Wounding on 3s. And so on to the invulnerable save because it's a -5, so straight onto the invuln. Oh. Okay. So let's see what that does. So with the Burning Blade being a 2 damage weapon, it reduces them down to 1 each. That means a further 2 wounds are taken off of the Lord of Contagion. So he's up to 4 wounds, he now has 2 remaining. So let's tally up where we are, see what objectives have changed hands, and see where the points sit at. So no one's in range of this one. That one hadn't changed. This one is now going to be in range of the Death Guard. So that changes hands. This one stays the same. And this one now is the hand of the Death Guard. So let's total up the points and see where we stand. And so, with the Curse of the Leper, the captain falls. And then there's just the relentless advance, the inexorable advance of the Death Guard.